Hi, good evening, and welcome to this week's episode and showing of the Minority Report. I'm Marlon David, your host for the program. And this evening has been panning out to be quite an interesting one. Not just this evening, but I think this entire season, I have to call it that we find ourselves in. For those of you who are viewing, we can also get onto the program on the Tobago Updates website, the Tobago Updates YouTube channel, and most frequently utilize the Tobago Updates Facebook page. You can also see this particular program live on M&E TV. If you are willing to contribute via messaging and or calling, you can contact us via message on 284-6597. That's 284-6597. And you can call us on 356-8833. 356-8833. And we want you to get in touch with as many persons as you can get your fingers typing to encourage them to log on to the program. Send them the link. Let's listen to conversations, participate in the discussions, and all come out of this particular program much more informed and more aware of what is taking place in Tobago. I have quite a heavy panel with me this evening in studio, and I want to reverse the process today. I want to introduce the panel first, and then we're going to just do the congratulations and some of the highlights that we want to get into, as I'm certain that they themselves will have some stuff to say on in the beginning. Joining us, and I'm going to start with the special guest in studio with us this evening. We have seated across from me the political leader of the People's National Movement Tobago Council, Mr. Ansel Dennis, and he is warm, if I can say, if I can say that. He's warm. In marbles, you used to say a knocks in. So, Mr. Dennis, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much. To his immediate right, they have the term the right-hand man. To his immediate right, we have no stranger to the program. Actually, the program is more or less built around this young man, Assemblyman Kelvin Morris, who we fondly come to know as the minority leader. Assemblyman Morris, welcome.
Thank you, Marlon. Let me say good night to each and everyone, eagerly locked on, anticipating the conversations to come. Welcome one and all, and it is indeed a pleasure to be here tonight.
Yes, sir. And the old adage says that you save the best for last. When I heard that description the minority leader put out of this particular young lady, I said, well, yes, we always have to introduce her last. So welcome, Minority Councillor Petel Daniel Benoit. Welcome. People have been asking where you were.
Good evening, Marlon. Good evening to the political leader and the minority leader and all of you who continue to support us and view and listen and share. Thank you for tuning in, and remember to share the live. Very interesting program this evening. So thank you again for joining.
Yes. Before we actually get into the meat of the program, the fire of the program, as persons are saying to me here via messaging, we want to say goodbye to our great Tobagonian Claude Noel. He has passed at the age of 74. A national hero, not just out of Tobago, but representing Trinidad and Tobago. We'd like to send out our deepest condolences to his family and close friends after his passing. We knew that he was recently in the news, and I think it was earlier today he would have passed on. Claude Noel, represented well, and his career spanned from 1973 to 1984, and he was the holder of the WBA World Lightweight title and the Commonwealth Lightweight title. I don't know if any of you guys remember any of his title fights. I was a little child, but what I do remember is all of Trinidad and Tobago stood still. All of Trinidad and Tobago really hailed him as a hero. So condolences going out there to his family. Condolences also going out to many of persons would say were either the friend, the relative, and so on. We saw that unfortunate accident this week, and we want to personally send out condolences to the family and friends of Christian Adams and his wife, Teresa Allen Adams. Tragic road fatality, and this is one that has touched every one of us, and I can safely say everyone on this panel has been affected and has been a personal friend of either one or both of these young people. I know it's at this point I want to open it up now, because I know that each one of you would want to say something as well to the family.
So I would like to express deepest condolences to the Adams and the Allen family. Teresa and I worked closely at the Division of Finance while I was there. And over that period, we formed a relationship. And I got to know Christian through Teresa, and she would fondly call him Chris. So it was indeed a tragic accident. For 3 children to lose their both parents at the same time, my heart goes out to them, as well as their parents and their families. I am praying for comfort, for peace, for understanding, because I know there are more questions than answers, and it's a trying and difficult time for, I think, the entire Tobago and all who would have known and loved this couple. So deepest condolences, and I really pray for your strength and comfort during this very difficult time.
Let me also join with Minority Council and also express my deepest condolences on behalf of myself, my family, the entire electoral district, Darrell Spring, Wim, and all of Tobago. I too knew both Christian and Teresa pretty well. In fact, Teresa and I, we were schoolmates from Form 1 all the way up to Upper 6. And you know, this is still surreal for me, and I know for the entire class of 2001. We are at this time deeply hurt with this loss, and we're still grappling with the news. Christian and I, when I tried to play cricket at one point, we toured Barbados together along with Chief. I know a lot of people don't know that. And, you know, from then on, we always had that mutual respect, that bond. He would call me, he had a fancy name for me, Spooner. And everywhere he saw me, he would always call me Spooner. And, you know, we always kept our pleasantry. So this is indeed a hard one for all of Tobago. And it is indeed one that I don't think we would ever really get over. But we continue to be there for the family, asking everyone, especially the kids, to continue to remember them, continue to pray for them, and continue to support them in whatever little way that you can.
Well, this is yet another tough one for the people of Tobago. I personally knew Christian for beyond 20 years. I started my cricket career at the age of 12, just thereabout. We didn't play under 13 together, because I think by the time I started, he was already too old for under 13 cricket. He was my under 15 captain, the Tobago under 15 captain. He was also the Tobago under 19 captain for a couple of the years that I played under 19 cricket. And then we were colleagues at club level, Cavaliers Cricket Club, for a number of years. And even outside of club cricket, we played together as teammates and even sometimes as opponents. I recall the last time we took the field together, it was at the inaugural Chief Secretary's T10 Blast up at Roxborough, Sid Gray Stadium. I participated in the Legends match. I was the captain of the Legends team, and he was on the opposing team, which was an all-star team from the tournament. And I had the opportunity to bowl, I think it was 1 over to Christian, and I think he struck me for at least 2 sixes in the over. And, following the game, as usual, the fatigue was given, no bowl short. And, I attempted to explain to him that, look, I haven't bowled a ball for many, many months. You have been playing cricket more than me. So don't boast too much. But, I grew to respect and admire him as the consummate professional on the cricket field, even off the cricket field. He was a fire officer of distinction. And he was definitely the epitome of what a man should be
With his family.
in society. The family man, the good father to his children. He was all of that and more, and he definitely will be sadly missed. I knew his wife as well as a highly professional public servant. And of course, this is a great loss for the people of Tobago, and I want to extend condolences to their families, both the Adams family and the Allen family, and all of Tobago, because I think this is a loss for all of Tobago as an island. We have lost 2 great people, and I also want to extend condolences to all the families who have experienced loss during this period of time, where apparently a shadow of death and accidents have overcome or has overcome Tobago. We've had murders, we've had a number of tragic accidents. I've seen videos coming to my phone almost on a daily basis of accidents taking place on the island, some of them fortunately not fatal. And therefore I want to encourage all of us as Tobagonians to be extremely careful on the roadways, especially now that we have been having some rainfall, which will result in slippery roads. And I want to encourage persons as well to exercise extreme care when it comes to the maintenance of vehicles, ensure that tires are in good order, and ensure that you pay attention and give due care and consideration to other drivers on the road, because sometimes a simple mistake can cost lives. And I simply want to implore Tobagonians this evening.
Thank you very much, guys, and we really extend condolences. And again, it's good that we can sit back and remember or pull back the fond memories, that we can celebrate the lives of these 2 young people. So I know that the minority leader and they would have also and would be reaching out as well, and we're going to follow up on those conversations as we go forward. Before we close off, we just want to also say congratulations to Scarborough RC on winning the Primary Schools Cricket League, and we continue in the vein of cricket. Scarborough RC won the Primary Schools Cricket League last Friday, and good work and to the guys and the coaches and the teachers and so on. And I think this is really something big for the school that they've been able to accomplish. Guys, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we head right into our conversations this evening. We encourage you to share the live. Let's get as many persons involved in this conversation and the program. So we'll be right back. We're going to take a short break. Keep logged on and stay locked on.
From the experts that created the Zinger sandwich comes the KFC Crispy Barbecue Zinger. Cheddar cheese, crispy onions, the most delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, and barbecue sauce. Get ready for a whole new level of flavor.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Welcome to L'Image Parfait Day Spa, your urban oasis and wellness center. Our services includes massages, treatments, facials, pedicures, weight management, detox programs, and much more. Call us today at 624-1452 or 720-7474. Trinidad locations and Bonacore, Tobago at 273-7772. Let us treat you like the VIP you are.
Welcome back, folks, and we head right into our conversations by jumping into our first clip this evening. I want the director, the clip that we queued up with the goodly Chief Secretary asking or speaking about accountability. Could we get right into that?
I will double down and remind you that we did not have to sign this. We did not have to take this oath. But we decided to do this because we want to hold each other accountable. And such accountability starts with me. It starts with me as the head. And guess what? The standard you hold for the team cannot be the same standard you hold for me. The standard you hold for me has to be higher than the team. And you have a responsibility to keep me in check. And I assure you, the team of 15 I have, or the team of 14 that will join me, is not really a team of yes men and yes women. It's a team who will pull Farley up when Farley needs to be pulled up. And so I could stand before you without any fear whatsoever that they can't call my name the way that we could call their name. I could say that without any fear whatsoever. I also can say to you tonight that as a team, we have made a commitment to hold each other accountable.
Yes, and we are all folks. Right now, I'd like to bring the minority leader into the wicket. We have a lineup of batsmen here this evening, but we're going to kick it off with, we just saw this clip, and this is going to be our overarching clip this evening, speaking about accountability and holding people accountable. Minority Leader, you hosted a press conference a short while ago, and there were certain things that you brought into the public arena that many persons, even supporters of the independents, and I'm saying independents because we haven't heard of any party registration yet, but supporters of the independents started literally turning around. I want you to begin to present some of this information, and let's take the conversation wider this evening as to what is really taking place in Tobago.
Thank you again, Marlon, and thank you to all the persons logged on. I've seen the live, very active. This conversation this evening is very important because you would have recalled that last Thursday I had held a press conference, and that press conference had to do with the press release which indicated that there was a road being built somewhere between Shervan and Storbay Local Road, bypass road. And with very limited information. As a matter of fact, we were just told about the contractor, the duration, and then they quickly told us about the cost. But at no point in that press release did they tell us how they arrived at that contractor, what was the procurement process, if they had EMA clearance, and that kind of thing. So the information, and through my own investigation, what we recognize, one, and it is very connected. When you look at this entire road process, it's very connected to the 4 roads that were announced very early in this term and announced as emergency roads. So they were given the impression that we absolutely needed those roads, and because we absolutely needed those roads, they were going to bypass all the usual tender process as to make these awards so that they can have these roads in time for Carnival. We know Carnival came and Carnival went. And therefore, we saw 1.5 of those roads being built during the Carnival period. And what was curious during that time is that we saw a company by the name of California Stucco being awarded a contract in record-breaking time. That is to say that the contractor was able to send through a proposal on one day, and within 24 hours, that contractor received approval and a letter of award. And what was even more curious, having received the letter of award on a Friday, that contractor, who is from Trinidad, was mobilized and ready on Saturday morning, present on the compound of Scarborough RC, clearing fence, ready to do this project. So what that would have meant for any right-thinking person is that contractor would have been very confident that they would have been awarded that contract. And that contractor is the very same contractor that we are now seeing popping up on this project at Storbay Local Road. And yet again, having told us that this project, the bypass road at Storbay Local Road, was to be one of those emergency projects, we are now again being told, well, it's no longer an emergency for Carnival, but this project is now an emergency for traffic management. And when you ask the question, and the question is very clear, what was the procurement process that you utilized to arrive at this contract? And you would recognize the secretary has not answered that question. He has not told us how did he arrive at this contractor to be awarded $65 million. $65 million isn't no little bit of money. $65 million, as a matter of fact, at this time, within the Tobago scenario where we know they are struggling to pay workers, we know they are struggling to undertake major works that are very critical at this time. They are
Student
struggling
support.
to create employment. They are struggling even to pay the tuitions of students abroad. They are struggling to pay suppliers. They are struggling even to treat with the remedial fixing of potholes along the roadway, because I have in my own electoral district, there are many roads that residents are complaining about. So we have a lot of critical roads that we use every day. They are struggling to fix those roads. But here it is, they have $65 million to build a road in the most cynical and corrupt manner. And I'm sure the chief, the political leader, will continue on this, because we have some information to share, but it's just creating the context as to what the discussion is.
And the road will actually be closer to $100 million, because we have to factor in the fact that they intend to infringe on land that is already owned by Tobagonians, right? And therefore you have to take into consideration some land that may need to be purchased or acquired in some way. The same thing happened in Dutch Fort with the Dutch Fort project. I don't know if Tobagonians are aware, but because this administration doesn't seem to care about proper planning of any project, and doesn't seem to care about Tobagonians generally. The same thing was done in Dutch Fort, where there was some incursion on someone's private property. And therefore, the Dutch Fort project will be $20 million plus whatever has to be paid to that person for their property. And it's the same thing that is happening in Friendship. What happened to taking your time and planning a project properly, consulting with land management, which resides right in the office of the Chief Secretary, to find out, well, who owns the land that you intend to pass this road through? Is it the state? And if it's not the state, it has to be a private owner. And therefore, what arrangements have to be made before you pass this road through there? They are so disorganized and so ridiculous. They have even trespassed on themselves, right? They got together as an executive council, established a new land use policy for the Friendship Estate, excluding agriculture totally. The P&M land use policy included a part of that land, several acres well, to be utilized for agricultural purposes. They, in their wisdom, I don't know what it is they have against farmers and the agriculture sector generally, they excluded agriculture completely from the Friendship Estate. If that's your policy, no problem. We decided that you're going to give lands for several different purposes. I'm hearing about hotels, I'm hearing about water parks, I'm hearing about other kinds of activities that they want to give the land in Friendship for. Lands that have already been allocated to persons or promised to persons, the Secretary of Infrastructure, without any plan, without any consultation with even the Chief Secretary apparently, without any consultation with perhaps land management, is now in the process of putting a road straight down the center of one of the parcels that were identified to be used for a particular purpose, which in the first place was not a road. So again, no plan. These individuals are just picking contractors, and the minority leader spoke to a tendering process. I know about open tender, and I know about selective tender, right? You can selectively tender for projects in the right circumstances. But this is not even selective tendering. It's one word to describe this, and that is collusion.
Wow.
And corruption by extension. Because you can't tell me that even if you want to sole select, you bypass all the contractors in Tobago. So even if it's a real emergency and you want to sole select, several conditions must be met before you even get to Trinidad. One, you have to determine that it's an emergency, and it is not an emergency. It wasn't an emergency for Carnival, and it is still not an emergency. Second, you have to determine as well that nobody in Tobago could get this job done for you.
Yeah.
Right? And having determined that, then you're free to go outside of Tobago to find contractors. So it was never about it being any emergency. They had plans even before they got into office. These are the people that we want to enrich for our own personal benefit. And I'm saying that without fear of contradiction, because it is the only explanation for you to leave Tobago, go to Trinidad, come off the boat, pass Port of Spain, pass the East-West Corridor. Even if you took the plane, you pass Piaco, you pass Tunapuna, you pass Trin City, and you head for south, and you pick up 3 contractors down there, a roofing man, no kind of experience doing road, a stucco man, no kind of experience doing roads, and somebody else with a little bit of experience, and you bring them to Tobago, and you're handing them $60 million in contracts, $20 million in contracts, $25 million in contracts. The final thing I want to see, I was in Buku today on a walkabout, and one of the things that came up in discussions with the young men in the community is the maintenance of the boardwalk. It is not being maintained. It is actually falling apart, right? So when I asked the young man, well, what is happening? Is it that we don't have anybody to maintain the boardwalk from within the community, maybe voluntarily? He said, well, there was actually a tender, and he was there for the opening of the tender, And he was one of the persons that tendered along with 4 other companies in Tobago, right? So for that project, to find somebody to maintain the Buku boardwalk, which is possibly going to cost maybe $10,000, $20,000 a month, I don't know. So for that project, 5 companies have to tender, right? You're not sole selecting that. And I said to the young man, well, if you are the only person from the community, then perhaps this was a good opportunity for them to sole select and select somebody from the community of Buku to maintain the boardwalk in Buku, if you are the only company from Buku. But no, they didn't sole select that, right? These young men had to tender for a $20,000 a month project. 5 of them or perhaps more. That has to go to tender. But $60 million, no tender. $25 million, no tender. Another $20 million in Scarborough, no tender. And you're going to hear about other roads, no tender. Never made it to the THA's website. Never made it to the Central Procurement Office. Just Trevor and his 2 imps down in that division doing what they want with our entire development budget, giving it to who they want in exchange for whatever they want. And the final thing, this is the final thing. They're not even doing the road properly. I am told, I am advised, right? Let me borrow from a former prime minister. I am advised, and the only reason I'm saying that I'm advised is because I don't know for a fact. But I am advised that instead of using rotten rock and digging out the loose material and having a proper compaction process to ensure that you have a good subsurface to put the road upon, that is not being done. They're using sandy material, clay material, all kinds of material, wherever they could find it from, to build this road for $63 million. So it's a total rip-off, shortcuts. It is already overpriced, and a road that should cost about $40 million is being done for $60-odd million. And by the time they finish all those shortcuts, I'm sure they're going to end up spending significantly less than the $40 million it should really cost. And then we'll be left to deal with the repercussions afterwards.
So we're gonna go for a short break now, but when we get back, I want to just touch a bit on, do we have the money in Tobago to afford all these projects that we've been seeing? Because
that's an interesting discussion.
Let's go for a short break. Folks, we'll be right back. Keep sharing that live.
October will never be better with Tobago Carnival Fever. Okay, passage and come on over.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorns Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorns Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable. Mamai Lakai Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now, 333-4430 at Mamai Lakai Home Services. We take cleaning to another level.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor. or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Yes, folks, and we are back. The conversation is mounting, and a lot has been discussed, a lot has been put out already for our listeners. However, there's still much more to go. And incidentally, having listened to the minority leader and the political leader, you all explained this thing by step. What stood out to me the most in that entire explanation, wasn't this the same administration who was then in opposition that was chastising the central government process, which they took the correct pathway to consult and did everything above board. Mm-hmm. And here they are in a similar situation, breaking all the rules. Where are the people who were protesting when central government was going through the process? But we're going to get back to that. The question I asked coming out of the last segment was, can we afford this? Minority Council, I want to bring you into the conversation. This is a critical point in Tobago's program, can use that word, or stagnation. Where are we in terms of our affordability? We've been seeing monies throwing left, right, and center.
Well, this is a very interesting comment because we would have seen where, since coming into office, this administration has claimed that the past administration left the treasury empty. They don't have any money to do anything. And now they are into a full financial period where they would have received the full allocation. In this aspect, the development program allocation for this fiscal is $300 million. And based on the comments of the political leader, now and prior, we would have seen where all of development program expenditure would have been committed to quote-unquote emergency roadworks. And this is only in one division, the division of infrastructure. We would have seen where at the division of education, students who are away are unable to receive funding because quote-unquote there are no money available to pay for their fees or boarding. We would have also seen delayed in payments at the division of food production because the development workers are unable to receive their pay on time because according to the secretary, there is no line item or allocation for those workers. We would have seen where even at the division of settlements, I think there was a consultation recently where the secretary was indicating that the cost of the homes, and initially they started off at low income homes and then they went to market price because they don't have the fund to subsidize the homes. Now we are seeing a situation where at the division of infrastructure, you are expending and committing the sum of $65 million at a time where you claim not to have any funding. Also, by the admission of the Secretary of Infrastructure, he would have claimed that the central government, as part of the airport expansion project, was earmarked to construct this road. To me, it would have been prudent that if you don't have sufficient funding and the central government is willing to fund this project, that you would have collaborated with the central government in an effort to see this project completed. Why, if you are receiving funding for such a mega project, would you not try to collaborate to get the funding? But you are claiming that there is a shortfall, you're not able to advance the development agenda of the island, but you are still expending $65 million when you didn't have to? And the question is, why would you do that? Why would you do that if it is not to further your own self-interest?
Wow.
Why would you enter into, I would say, fights with the central government instead of collaborating for the best interest of all Tobagonians?
And you used a very critical word there, fights. And I mean, later in the program, I know we're going to get a bit into that in terms of the whole strategy and the level of confrontation. But it's very alarming and very, serious in terms of what is going to happen in Tobago. Now that we've seen this obvious drain on the financial resources of the island, how are we going to see the economy run or kickstart, as it will? What is going to happen now? We have salaries to pay, recurrent expenditure.
Well, Ireland, we are seeing that nothing is happening in terms of the economy because
So we're in a crisis.
if according to the secretary, we siphoning and we spiriting away all our development program funding to another island.
economy.
It therefore means that
Building
the
another
circulation, we are building another economy, and the circulation of the fund within the Tobago economy is not there because you have just spirited away our entire development program. So, like we would have said on past programs, the local contractors who would have had to let go thousands of people, there is no income there to circulate among
But-
the contractors as well as their employees. There is no local income there to circulate, spending with the village marts, the local groceries, the local stores. So there is nothing happening. Look around. There is nothing happening in terms of positive economic activity on the island.
So,
But you
Minority
know,
leader.
you know what?
you go ahead.
You know
Right,
what
yeah.
bothers me when you examine this thing carefully? Will any regional corporation in Trinidad, whether it be Point Fortin, Diego Martin, Siparia, Pinal Davy, Sandy Grande, or even the city of Port of Spain, will any regional corporation in Trinidad take their resources, right, come to Tobago and select 2 or 3 contractors from Tobago and say to their constituents in those particular areas that we're spending our entire development budget, the money that we get to build roads, drains, because that's what the regional corporations do mostly. The money that we get to fix all the small drains and all the retaining walls, we ain't giving none of these projects to any business person from those respective areas. But we're going to Tobago and we're taking contractors from Tobago. Let them bring down all the equipment from Tobago and come down to Digo or Pinal or wherever and do the work. No regional corporation in Trinidad will do that.
And you know, more than, and just to add to the conversation, Chief, because we are now seeing the proclamation of the procurement law. And therefore, this law was really created to ensure it promotes competitiveness, fairness, transparency, accountability. And one of the tenets of that law is that 2 things. You must be able to demonstrate as the procuring entity that you already have the funds to fund the procurement, the item that you're trying to do, whether it's a service, whether it's a contract, whatever. And you also, in that sense, you also need to be able to not create systemic blocks as to disproportionately or discriminate against any supplier. So that is to say, this administration now is, most of the projects are being driven by this build, design, finance arrangement. And what the build, design, finance arrangement is, what they're saying to persons is basically, we don't currently have the money, So you come with your finances, you build this thing, and then we will pay you over a period of time. What that automatically does is basically disqualify contractors who may have the capacity to do the job, but may not have the finances at the time. It also means, therefore, that in the Tobago scenario, where you're already not paying contractors, where you're not giving contractors opportunities, you're eliminating almost all the Tobago contractors. And I'm saying this to say because I'm quite aware that this build, design, finance is something that is being considered for homes and housing. And therefore, I'm putting public servants on alert to take your time, especially those persons in procurement and in projects. Take your time, comb through that entire procurement legislation and ensure that you dot your I's, cross your T's, because I can assure you that that legislation is one that is there to ensure that any breaches, persons, the procurement regulator on its own can undertake investigation, and therefore when you have an alert minority and an alert P&M, an alert public, we will ensure that we take those complaints to the necessary regulatory body, and therefore you need to do your job and make sure that you follow the law as well. So I'm putting public servants on notice. Familiarize yourself with the act. As a matter of fact, I'm actually drafting a letter to the chief administrator. I understand there's currently a vacancy in the office of the chief administrator, but I'll be crafting a letter outlining our concerns as to the current posture of this THA with respect to getting divisions ready to properly carry out the law, because we saw in Trinidad, the government, central government would have called all administrators, secretaries, permanent secretaries, and all those persons, procurement officers, and so forth, dealing those stakeholders who are directly related to the procurement process, and would have started that kind of enlightenment. However, at this point, we have seen no such action coming out of the THA, and we are very concerned whether the officers are properly informed, properly prepared to effect this new procurement legislation, and therefore I'm advising them, all persons who are treating with procurement at this time, to familiarize yourself with the law
process
and the process, so as to ensure that you are not misled by persons who are clearly showing and demonstrating that they do not really care anything for law, for order, for process, for procurement.
Correct.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much, Minority Leader.
You know, I almost corrected you when you said, because it's supposed to be design, build, finance.
Yeah.
And you keep saying build, design, finance.
Yeah, but that is what
Which is actually correct.
that is what
Because they're starting to build before
Build first,
without any design. But I also want to debunk this idea that in order to have design, build, finance, that you have to look outside of Tobago, right? That is a total fallacy.
Sorry.
Because we did it in 2020 during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We established a program that was geared towards doing two things. One, stimulating the economy during the COVID-19 period, and also to treat with long-standing infrastructural issues. So we engaged the private sector, and we came up with a list of projects comprising drains, retaining walls, small bridges in some cases, and even roads. And we didn't give any contractors any mobilization because the arrangement was design, build, finance. And we were able to mobilize, I think, in excess of close to $200 million in works over a 2-year period, right? Just around that figure. And all of that was done, well, probably 99% of it was done through contractors from Tobago. And not only the big contractors, not only who we might want to consider the large contractors who in the game long time and who expanded their business to be considered large contractors, but there were medium contractors and even small contractors who were part of this arrangement. Because it doesn't mean that you have to have millions of dollars sitting down somewhere, The THE at that point in time had a good name with the bank. I'm not sure about now.
Not again.
And therefore, if you go to the bank with a contract in hand, or even if the contract is not drafted as yet, perhaps the letter of award might suffice. And you say to the bank, look, I have this project. It costs X million dollars. I want to borrow, and the banks loan those people the money to do the project. So we never had to look to Trinidad. We did the Sherburn development. We started that through the same arrangement, I think. And I think the price of that was about $60 million. And again, the total exposure of the THE during that 2-year period was in excess of 150, close to $200 million. I don't have the exact figure. So how you could say to me now that in order for you to spend out our $300 million development budget, that you have to bypass all the contractors in Tobago and go to Trinidad because your excuse is that the THE have no money and you have to invite private sector funds in. That is not a new idea. That is not something innovative. That is something that is how the assembly has lived.
That is
how we conduct business.
As usual. Guys, we have to take a short break. We have to take a short break. I'm getting the prompt here. We know it's quite a lot we're trying to get in on this program. But we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to close off on this discussion and head into another hot topic area when we get into some clips. So we're going to take a short break. Continue to share the live. Stay logged on, and we'll be right back.
Our national borders, our first step to security, but a possible access point for guns, drugs, crime. If it does not look right, do the right thing. Call Crime Stoppers anonymously. 800-8477. Report possible border crime.
Good morning. Put a smile on This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show. Everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look out below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look out below, 'cause this is your show.
From the experts that created the Zinger Sandwich comes the KFC Crispy Barbecue Zinger. Cheddar cheese, crispy onions, the most delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, and barbecue sauce. Get ready for a whole new level of flavor.
Welcome to Limage Parfait Day Spa, your urban oasis and wellness center. Our services includes massages, treatments, facials, pedicures, weight management, detox programs, and much more. Call us today at 624-1452 or 720-7474. Trinidad locations and Bonacore, Tobago at 273-7772. Let us treat you like the VIP you are.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tapago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tapago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tapago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tapago's at your service.
If you see or know about a crime, report a crime safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be a hero, champion, fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
And folks, we are back. So we're going to shift the discussion a little bit. We're trying to touch on as many areas as possible because this administration definitely giving us a lot of work. We're going to shift the discussion a bit. We know that recently we saw some issues coming out with respect to the EMA, and we know that even in the House, this administration brought an erroneous EMA motion to be debated. We want to go right into our clip, and then when we come out of that, we're going to continue into our discussions. I'll ask the director just to cue it up. Let's see it.
They do not have any environmental clearance, and we will be writing the THA, reminding them of the need for a certificate of environmental clearance based on the fact that they have in their media release said that the road is some 2.5 kilometers long.
CEO of the EMA, Hayden Romano, said the law is clear.
Once the road is over 1 kilometer, it will require a certificate of environmental clearance.
In a release sent to the media last Tuesday following questions by TV6, the Division of Infrastructure stated that in approximately 120 days, the Shelvan-Storbay Local Connector Road is likely to be commissioned for use by the motoring public and pedestrians. The project was launched on May 8, 2023, and California Stucco Company Limited was awarded the contract worth over $65 million. Among other works, the project will feature design and construction of a 2.5-kilometer single carriageway, design and construction of 2 roundabouts, and design and construction of a drainage system to remove surface water from the roadway. Tobago West MP Shamfa Kajo, speaking during a PNM political meeting in Buku on Sunday, said under this present THA administration, environmentalists have suddenly lost their voice. or you're not answering questions, you're not sharing information, and your response to everything is about the PNM, they do that too, so we could do it too. Not this People's National Movement. And you said that you were going to fix it. Everything you said that you would fix, so we are calling on you. We are depending on you to fix it. No, you make the laws, you break it, you're destroying the environment. You remember how sensitive they were about the environment? They don't want sandals because sandals is going to destroy the environment. You remember when we wanted to build the fire station at that same site in Black Rock, and they said the light will go in the turtle eye. I want to know, and I'm not just calling on the PDP or whatever they call themselves now. You see them people who call themselves independents out there? Where them? Where the independents? Where the independents? Where the environmentalists who used to be calling in the radio station and the TV in the morning? Where them? They're not concerned about the road being built without environmental clearance. They're not concerned about the developments and the clearing of trees and so on, and even the light in the turtle eye. Nobody even care about that now. Where are you? Elizabeth Williams, TV6 News.
So, Minority Leader, I want to kick this off again with you on the other end of the baton. You spearheaded the debate against an erroneous motion, and we're starting to see a clearer picture as to why is it that this administration continues to bring these types of motion to the House to pass or to create a policy for them to act recklessly.
Well, clearly it is all now manifesting itself as to what was the true intention of the motion. And the motion was really an attempt for the THA to basically disband the EMA from the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, ignoring those laws and trying to create their own institution, which would have been a creature of the administration. Therefore, it would have been himself unto himself. And then there would have been no question, nobody to protect the environment. It would have meant that they can simply disregard the law of the Trinidad and Tobago, which clearly says if you are going to build on virgin lands a road that is more than 1 kilometer, then you must have a certificate of environmental clearance. And here it is, the Secretary of Infrastructure is clearly disregarding that law. The law is clear cut, and that is why we were calling on the EMA, and I'm happy to see that they are now responding and in ensuring that the CEC is hard, and failure to do such, you must hold those persons who are intent on breaking the law, they must be held accountable. So I hope that the EMA would ensure that they are held accountable, because from my understanding, work continues even after that. That is to show you how bold-faced, how arrogant. And if someone, the thing about it, if this man is showing you who he is in broad daylight, that I don't really care about a law that is so clear-cut, what else? What else is he unafraid to break?
What else is hidden?
And I think we have made this point time and time again, the lack of regard for the law, which they took an oath of office in. Some of them put on their best suit and their best outfit to go to be sworn in, and they took that oath to discharge the responsibilities without fear, without favor, and there's a part which says to uphold the Constitution and the law. Now they're breaking it, right? But I want to warn public servants, you see, administrators especially. I want to caution administrators, because at the end of the day, you have a responsibility to protect the public's purse, and you also have a responsibility to uphold the Constitution and the law. And I hope that administrators are not facilitating these kinds of illegal actions. Yes, I know sometimes secretaries and even the Executive Council may force the point and force administrators and the public servants to do illegal things. And I hope the public servants are taking careful note, documenting and writing to these secretaries about the concerns and the exact laws that are being breached as a result of these actions. So this is a caution to all public servants, so that when the heat comes, because it will come, a day of reckoning will come. And public servants, you must ensure you protect yourselves from this callous, disrespectful, unlawful, disorganized THE administration.
And the political leader, even under the procurement legislation, I think the administrators, will also be held liable if they are in breach of the legislation. And we would have seen demonstrated time and time again. The minority leader would have asked questions to the chief secretary. And remember, in the opening clip of this program, the chief secretary would have indicated that we are to hold him at a higher standard.
Yes.
And when the question was asked about in the House about whether or not the THA is breaking the law by not obtaining a CEC clearance from the Environmental Management Authority, the chief secretary basically blatantly said that the THA is not required to
follow the
law.
It was one of the most irresponsible interpretations of law that I have ever seen. Right, where he said there's a clause in the THA Act which says
25.
any statutory authority doing anything on behalf of the THA in Tobago must do so in accordance with the policies of the THA. I mean, how more foolish can you be to interpret that law in that way? The EMA is not conducting a service on behalf of the THA in this case. The EMA is the environmental watchdog for Trinidad and Tobago. And even government ministries and agencies must subscribe to the EMA laws.
Yes, and that is why, according to the minority leader again, they attempted to bring this motion in the House at the last sitting to try to circumvent the role of the EMA in Tobago.
And as I lift some papers here, I just want to speak directly to public servants again, as the political leader did. We have information, and therefore any action to manipulate, backdate, alter, destroy these information will land anyone who gets themselves so involved
in some hot water.
And therefore, public servants at this point allow the chips
to fall
where they may. Do not let anyone force you into any action that can implicate yourself, your profession, and your job.
Minority Leader, we're heading into our final segment, but we just want to take a quick break. And again, we're going to come back with our closing segment where we have, I think, the top of the mountain discussion that many people keep messaging and on the live discussing and so on. So we're going to take a short break, guys, and we're going to be right back to close this evening's program with the final discussion.
Welcome to L'Image Parfait Day Spa, your urban oasis and wellness center. Our services includes massages, treatments, facials, pedicures, weight management, detox programs, and much more. Call us today at 624-1452 or 720-7474. Trinidad locations and Bonacore, Tobago at 273-7772. Let us treat you like the VIP you are.
And folks, we are back once more. Quite a number of businesses trying to now get in on the Minority Report, so we have to pay bills every now and then. But this evening we want to go right into a clip that I'm certain by now in Tobago needs absolutely no introduction. So I'll ask the director just to run that clip.
Even if it is, find the plan, create the plan, the strategy or whatever, bring it here once you get approval. Whether it is, you see, at 13 people now, you might just need 5 or 7 to do strict PR, so you could use some to do some propaganda. Whether they're going to use fake profiles, whether they're going to use their own profiles, whatever they do. And what you will have to consider is finding a way to employ people on the THA side. Could be menial tasks.
We don't have to pay. Yeah, most of them kind of got away to Chanel, and we found out.
And most of them kind of get employed already.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Is the others who not employed to bring them in, because they are happy to do the thing on the side voluntarily. You know, once we employ them 8 to 4 in a lucrative.
So they get income.
Yes, that is what's going on. So we will organize.
And that will help. That will help, even with as I was indicating. With the challenge you raise in terms of how Tobagonians are responding to the moves in Trinidad, that can help in shaping the narrative. Because about shaping the narratives. I don't want us to stop campaigning and then switch it back.
Let me just release this one across the table. Anybody, whoever want to kick it off, start it.
I will simply want to, because I'm awaiting a response from the voices that sound like the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine, and the Secretary of Education, Zorisha Hackett. I am simply awaiting a response, because this is the same voice, apparently, that said that he has no interest in giving out food cards to anybody. He don't want any food cards to give out, because apparently that is corrupt and illegal.
Yeah.
But this is the same voice apparently we're hearing in that recording. And I want to read from 2 documents. And this one is the social contract between the citizens of the electoral districts across Tobago and the various PDP candidates. And I'm simply going to read 4, 5, and 6. To maintain continuous and unreserved communication with all constituents. Are they currently doing that? But the more relevant ones are 5 and 6. And number 5 is to lead with diligence and honesty, and to have a zero tolerance on corruption, nepotism, and wastage. Number 6, to responsibly use state resources and privileges. That was from their own social contract. But obviously that doesn't necessarily have any legal weight, although they should hold themselves to those standards as they promised. I'm now going to read from part 4 of the Integrity in Public Life Act, which applies to all members of the Tobago House of Assembly. Section 24. A person to whom this part applies shall ensure that he performs his functions and administers the public resources for which he is responsible in an effective and efficient manner, and shall be fair and impartial in exercising his public duty, afford no undue preferential treatment to any group or individual, arrange his private interests, whether pecuniary or otherwise, in such a manner as to maintain public confidence and trust in his integrity. A person to whom this part applies shall not use his office for the improper advancement of his own or his family's personal or financial interests, or the interests of any person. That's all I have to say on this matter for now.
Wow.
Minority Leader.
Wow. So, like the political leader, I await the response of the officers whose voices we heard, and those voices sound quite familiar to many of us. And therefore, I hope those persons would come forward and at some point clear the air. But more than that, if what we heard is coming from the persons that we are quite familiar carrying those voices, then it's very dangerous, it's alarming, and I want it for those young persons especially, young persons who would have gone to school, would have gone to college, sacrificed, worked hard, studied hard, and they are now back home. And they are diligently, earnestly, and honestly writing resumes, letters of application, sending to divisions, awaiting some kind of word. And in most cases, they may not get a response. And in other cases, they are told there are no vacancies. And while they are being told no vacancies, having done their part, the honest way, we are learning now that there might be a policy, there might be some conspiracy where you can earn lucrative salaries in the Tobago House of Assembly, paid by the taxpayer, for simply showing up 8 to 4, perhaps on your couch, not even in the THA's office, blogging and spreading propaganda. If that is where we have reached in Tobago, I'm saying, woe be upon us. And I am seeing some persons already trying to downplay. I'm not saying, so I'm not about, but the very act, what is in the content of what we heard, for persons to downplay that as not a big deal, I am flabbergasted.
Probably some of the persons are attempting to downplay it on their list. They already get a lucrative job.
13 of them.
13 of them.
Based on the timing.
But I really think it's a slap in the face for young persons.
Yeah.
Young people.
Young professionals.
Young professionals. And we saw it's over almost 250 persons were sent home, and some of them, remember that term that was used?
Political hires.
Political hires.
And Minority Leader, I want to jump on that because if this is the new policy, quote unquote policy of this current administration, it therefore means that you are placing families on the breadline to further your agenda of continuing to campaign while spreading propaganda. So it therefore means that families unable to care and feed their loved ones because of your political agenda.
Yeah.
And for me, that is quite vexing and alarming. Because up to Sunday, I was having a conversation with someone who was sent home, and they are struggling to make ends meet because it's just so hard. And they have to go here to do one job, go elsewhere, just to ensure that they can provide for their families.
And here it is.
That you are engaging persons to do medial tasks just to ensure that the propaganda. And that is why, if this is really the policy, they can't settle down to govern.
Yeah.
They are still in election mode.
And this is the same chief secretary who openly accused me of operating fake profiles.
So
same
And he was on record saying that he don't have fake profile.
But they could, who they engage in to do the propaganda, they could do it under their real names based on the conversation, or they could open fake profiles. This is alarming.
What is even worse is that this is the same chief secretary who said to people, when he's elected, they're going to take off the robes and put on the Tobago robes and govern all of Tobago. Is this what that meant?
It was all a show.
So for every young person who are properly qualified and unable to get a job, if I were you, I was going to dress in the morning and find my way down. I think they operate now from out of the complex.
Yeah, Shaw Park.
So I would encourage the lines of persons and demand your job. Because if they can find, as I said, if those voices are validated and if that is the policy and they can find jobs for persons to go on social media, spread propaganda, then they can find a job for you.
Well said.
I want to reiterate that this is a very serious matter. Because and it appears to be a meeting of more than one, at least two individuals.
Yeah. Criminal matter.
It appears to be individuals holding the highest offices in Tobago conspiring to misappropriate,
misuse,
abuse public funds for their own personal and political benefit, and that is a serious matter. Now, the final thing I will say is that clearly the people of Tobago were hoodwinked because these are the same individuals who put on a show, a nice show, the same social contract, and it's vexing, you know. This thing bothering me, you know.
It's a scam.
These same individuals put on a nice show at one of the political meetings, social contract, and the chief secretary was boasting at that time that he will hold everyone accountable, and he has the power to even discipline the political leader who is Watson Duke. Now, does he have the power to discipline himself? Because he clearly needs disciplining. Right? So it is vexing. The people of Tobago were hoodwinked, and there is a saying that says that all in the dark
must come
to light. And therefore, while we are focusing on infrastructure, because all that is playing out there is plain for us to see, clearly it's from captain to cook, who has no regard for the law, and who has no regard for the people of Tobago who elected them, and who clearly put on a show and are all fake profiles themselves because they pretended to be individuals who they were not. Talking about zero tolerance for corruption. When you sit down there conspiring to be corrupt.
Final comment, minority leader and minority councillor.
No, I mean, that video is disgusting. That video is alarming. That video is vexing. And but one of the things I'm sort of comforted by is that persons are finally seeing those individuals for who they really are. They put on a show, they played a game. Some of them are very good at masking themselves, but at least we are now seeing perhaps the trueness of these people.
Minority councillor. You seem flabbergasted.
No. It is vexing. Because when you see people struggling and when you recognize that people calling you daily for support, for basic needs, and to see this is what is transpiring, because it's no longer a conspiracy, as somebody on the live said, because it has actually happened, and they have said that they have started and they have called names of persons who have already begun to reap the rewards of this policy. So it's a policy that is being implemented, and it is so unfortunate that after the overwhelming support that this island would have given to this administration, to see that the betrayal of the trust, the hoodwinking. But what we thank God for is that the revelation is happening. And we are seeing all the individuals for who they really are. And revelation will continue.
More to come.
More
to come.
In everything, give God thanks.
Amen.
So before you close off, just want to give Tobagonians the assurance that there is more to come. More will be revealed. And as well, these matters we will not allow to rest. We will be pursuing the fullest legal actions as much as the law will hold accountable, and we will ensure that those who are intent on doing clandestine, doing underhand, corrupt deals and actions, that they are exposed and they once and for all, at one point, sometime, will be held accountable.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks to the panel. Quite a lot said here this evening. Folks, I'll end this program with one short quote as we go out. When you let a clown into the palace, clown doesn't become a king.
I think we should play that video.
The palace becomes a circus. And I'll ask the director just to play the video, the same clip, again as we go out. The same clip as we go out. Thanks a lot for supporting, for logging on. And I know we're going to see you at the next program.
Yes.
The next program. We may not be on air next Tuesday as a holiday, but definitely we'll keep you informed. Folks, stay tuned for what's next. It's coming. Have a wonderful night. Mr. Director, over to you.
Even if it is, find the plan, create the plan, the strategy or whatever, bring it here once you get approval. Whether it is, you see, I have 13 people now. You might just need 5 or 7 to do strict PR, so you could use some to do some propaganda. Whether they're going to use fake profiles, whether they're going to use their own profiles, whatever they do. And what you will have to consider is finding a way to employ people on the THA side. Could be menial tasks.
We don't have to pick. Yeah, most of them kind of got away to Chanel, and we found out.
And most of them kind of get employed already.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Is the others who not employed to bring them in, because they are happy to do the thing on the side voluntarily. Once we employ them 8 to 4 in a lucrative.
So they get income.
Yes, that is what we know. So we will organize.
And that will help. That will help, even with as I was indicating. With the challenge you raised in terms of how to organize responding to the moves in Trinidad, that can help in shaping the narrative, because I was shaping the narratives. I don't want us to stop campaigning and then switch it back